Devi Lalita Narayani Kumuda Prachanda Vishva Kama Kama Charini Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devim Mahadevi Namo. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devim Mahadevi Namo. Behold the many aspects of the Divine Mother, she who is the detached witness of time and its events, the large-eyed, all-seeing one, who is the beloved essence of supreme reality, and who satisfies all the gods and grants fulfillment on earth, who is ever stationary yet who moves at will, whose fierce and fiery nature is legend. Nama Om.
Om Agnir Mortachakshusi Chandra Suryo Vishaha Shrotrivak Vivritasha Vedaha Vayu Prana Hridaya Vishvamasha Parvyam Prathivihi Sarvabhutantaratma. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. Verily, that one Supreme Being is the indwelling consciousness in all beings. Fire is its head, the sun and moon, its two eyes. The revelation of Scripture is its cosmic mind. A universe is its heart. Its arms and legs of four directions. A wind is its breath. Music is its voice. And from its feet the world has originated. Om peace, peace, peace. Om Mapiyantu Mamanvani Vak Pranaschakchu Shrotra Valamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Mahabrahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakaroda Nirakaranamastva Nirakaranambeastu Taratmani Nirati Ya Upanishatsu Dharmaste Mayi Shantu Te Mayi Shantu. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. May our bodies experience great health from pure food. May our life force, our prana, flow unimpeded. May our minds expand in their capacity to know Brahman. For the Upanishads state that all existence is Brahman. Therefore, may we never deny Brahman. May Brahman never deny us. May there be no rejection of Brahman ever by us, we who are dedicated to the realization of the Atman within. May all the divine qualities cited in the Upanishads also abide within us. Om peace, peace, peace. Om Sahana. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvi Navaditamastu Ma Vidveshovahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May Brahman, the reality, protect us. May Brahman sustain us. May Brahman illumine our thinking process. May we not find fault with each other, with the teachings, with the world. And may what we study be a source of inspiration to us eternally. Om peace, peace, peace. May peace be unto us, and may peace be unto all. Om Hari Om. Welcome all, Swagatam, to our SRV Hawaii ashram. where the local Sangha has gathered, and we welcome the live streaming Sangha, live streaming audience, wherever you may be, to partake of this fourth class in a 5-class series, last one being next Sunday at the same time, on the subject of food, prana, and sadhana. And that peace chant I just illustrated is one of the 7 peace chants that mentions nicely in its sweep about food first, and then about prana, and then about mind. It's when we do sadhana, we're really working to purify the mind, because as you know from the all mind schools, the Indian philosophies, they figure that everything has come out of the mind, out of the thinking process. Even objects have come out of the thinking process and solidified. Of course, they'll need the help of the 5 elements and Maya, name and form. But that quotient, if you add in the mind's congealing power, the mind's projecting power, they call that sometimes by different words like sankalpa, projected out of desires, vikalpa, or shristi, to project something or to create something, and sthiti, to sustain it once you've projected it. So these kinds of ideas are common to the Indian darshanas. They're not so common to the other religions of the world, who don't go so deeply into them, nor are they familiar to many of us in the West. Until we find a path, a spiritual path, and a guru, and we begin to look into the Dharma, and that's what's coming on this chart that we have been using as the main chart for our 3 previous classes, and we're working our way around it. These 4 pillars are food, prana, psychic prana, and then Shakti power. We looked last week quite a bit at prana, and the first 2 weeks quite a bit at food. And I have a chart that is familiar to some of us because we've used it quite a bit in our teachings of the Kundalini Yoga system. That's even hanging on our wall, so now we have 2 copies in the room at the same time here. We'll look into that to sort of put a capper on the subject of food and prana and work our way towards psychic prana, towards mind. When you talk about psychic prana, you're talking about an energy that is responsible for moving your thoughts and for moving your awareness to different states. The first thing we would think of in Vedanta would be from waking to dreaming to deep sleep, that there's a psychic prana that will move our thoughts, our state of consciousness, will shift our state of consciousness from outer to inner to transcendent, because deep sleep is a kind of transcendence of name and form. You don't have any ego there, and you don't have any children or cars or money, and you're not worrying about anything. You're actually quite blissful in deep sleep, which is why even a half hour of deep sleep is much better for your state of mind than even 8 hours of sleep or dreaming, where you're waking up and dreaming and waking up and dreaming. If you can get into deep sleep, that's a sort of a natural samadhi. They even have a name for that called nidra samadhi. It's sleep samadhi, and it infers, of course, when you're not dreaming and when you're not waking. So there's an energy that moves your thoughts, and we know there's an energy that moves our hand and our arm, and an energy which helps us to see, and we pretty much relate that back to food, which is a correct idea. But as Holy Mother said, quite often said, from food, pure food, you'll get pure blood, and from pure blood you'll get pure thought, and pure mind will come after that. So there's an idea there amongst the Indian philosophers, and it's not just an idea among the Indian seers. It's been realized that if you started with mind and purified that first, then everything that the mind produced would be pure, which is illustrated by the fact that, say, when a great soul like Sri Ramakrishna was in the body, he was seeing Brahman everywhere. He was in bliss all the time, and helping you also to try and be in that bliss, or if not in bliss, at least in peace of mind or equanimity of mind, which is, you might say, kind of a default zone for him. If bliss wasn't flowing that particular day because of Mother's will, then he would just default to equanimity of mind or peace of mind. That's what we need to do. Many of us have lost our peace of mind in today's busy world with all the distractions, and we have a hard time even finding any evenness of mind, getting any respite from brooding and stress and worry and so forth. Frenetic activity, rounds of work all the time, and then when we go off work, our mind is still frenetic from the day's work. We don't ever get any peace. In the old days, you might go out and work really hard all day on the farm, plowing and so forth, and then you'd go back into your hut and just rest, and you'd know you had a good day's work, and you'd feel fine about it. You wouldn't have to bring your work home with you, as they say. Bring the field and a plow into your shack. So, leave them outdoors. So, in that way, this peace of mind is something we need to retain. Maybe we should say regain in that context, and then retain. If we can regain it first, then we can have a chance of holding on to it and remember what that feels like to be in peace. And then once we're in peace externally, shantihi, then shantihi, then shantihi. And you can be in the second kind of peace, which is an inward or internal peace. And that stretches far deep into with your psychic prana, into these realms of ancestors and the realms of the gods and deities and Trinity and so forth. That's where you find these inner worlds. And that's the second shantihi that you utter. And the third shantihi is then a more transcendent. So you have transcendent flowing out into subtle or internal, flowing further out into external world, which is this world of the waking state. AUM of Om, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, immanent, subtle, and causal. They say the three worlds. Those are all directly across the board from one another. We've had charts where we've looked at the connections between that. And that's really what we're doing here, is making connections all the time. We find that that could almost be an overall title for every retreat and every seminar and every series of classes we're given lately. It's just making subtle spiritual connections that have been lost. If there's a man typing out a message on a telegraph from the next village, they're not receiving it, you see. So they send out a crew, and they find out the monkeys have been messing with the line, you see, in the trees. And they put the line back together, chase the monkeys away, and then the message is being received a few miles away. And so transmitter and receiver are both intact, you see. That's sort of how you have to look at all the connections of your mind. The energy prana is not going to be able to flow through these channels from external to internal to causal, unless those connections are made. So rather like stepping on a hose and stopping the water from flowing through it. So there are these subtle nerves, nadis they're called, where this energy is flowing, and it's not just energy flowing outward, but the prana also flows inward. And we're not really aware of the inward flow as much as we are the outer flow. If we became aware more of the inner flow, then we would be having better ability to concentrate, which would do away with our distractions. We'd be able to meditate and see God face to face within us, and we'd give up the idea that God exists outside of us only. And so many more profound connections would then be made. So these profound connections really depend upon these subtle connections to be made in a day and age such as we're in, and culture and society such as we're in modern times, or call it the Kali Yuga if you wish, age of darkness, where most people have forgotten at least 3/4, if not all, of their spiritual memory, the memory back inside of them of past knowledge, of past samadhis, of past lifetimes. All of that's been forgotten. Why? The father of yoga says, because of your commerce with money and business, because of your giving away gifts, giving away land, receiving gifts, receiving land, that constantly going on takes away your awareness from memory, deep memory lodged inside of your mind. So your psychic prana is not flowing there, you see. You're not aware of your psychic prana taking you into deep sleep or into dream. And in your meditation, you're not using that psychic prana to contact ancestors, deities, all the way to your ishtam. Because aren't you doing the mantra on your beads and saying and thinking of your ishtam in your mind, whether that ishtam be Krishna or Shiva or Divine Mother Ishvari or Sri Ramakrishna or other great souls you're concentrating on. The psychic prana needs to connect you to those forms, those subtle realms. My father's mansion has many chambers, so I need to be able to open the doors to all those chambers. So it's just like any path through a woods. You have to run your feet along it, your body, along it. And the more people that do that, the more open the path becomes, and the less the overgrowth and undergrowth begins to take over. So you need to do that every day. You need to think on your ishtam. You need to use your mantra. You need to think about your prana, your psychic prana, moving inward and opening up these channels into your mind. If your breathing is not working right, then your brain doesn't get enough oxygen. But if your psychic prana isn't working inwardly, then your mind doesn't get any awareness, you see. So all of these things outwardly have subtle inner correlations. That's all we're saying. We're not talking about you have to believe in God or not believe in God or believe in the existence of absolute reality or be a materialist. We're just saying if you were to explore these interconnections, then you yourself would find out what they mean to you. And you'd have many more dimensions to your life, not just the external dimension. Because it seems to us that if you have just the external dimension left, matter, senses attached to objects, desire, jealousy, war, violence, hatred, you see how it all mounts up. It all talk about unhealthy connections, you see. So if you're left with no inner life force, and your life force is only flowing outward for your senses to the objects, then you're creating a disease without a remedy. And that's something we're taking note of in today's world then. So that no thought about divine matters, no thought about spirituality, not much meditation, nobody even breathing anymore. See? And very few making the connections to the inner states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. It's all sort of some figment of your imagination. It's just mainly because your nadis are not open and conducting a flow of this energy that you're not aware of, those inner worlds. I'm tempted to talk about very powerful dreams I have sometimes. I don't always like to do that because you don't really, for one thing, it's very difficult to explain them or describe them, and for two, you don't want to be blowing your own horn, as they say, but some experiences that come to you where you're very profoundly conscious in dream. You're aware of yourself both in waking and in dreaming. And you know that you're in a dream, and you're aware of your body back on earth, and you know your subtle senses are turned off, your gross senses are turned off, but you know you have subtle senses, and you're sporting in this deep dream state with your ishtam. So you might see Sri Ramakrishna right there in front of you. You might be Ramakrishna right there in front of you. And at that point, you're very blissful, and you're fully aware, and you know that lightning swift, you can give up that state and return to the body. Just as lightning swift as you woke up in a dream. Just that swiftly, you have to wake up in the waking state. So when you wake up in the waking state, you'll have all your channels open, you see. That's what enlightenment is, having all your subtle channels open. It doesn't necessarily need to be attended by some huge bliss or some non-dual samadhi that knocks you out completely. It's awareness in operation, you see, at all levels. It's like a sahaja samadhi, a very natural kind of samadhi that seems most spontaneous, and it's a sort of a matter of course. Sometimes they call it sthiti samadhi. Sthiti means steady samadhi. It's like you're not going into these huge blisses, nor you're falling into these deep depressions because you don't see God anymore, you see. Because sometimes the devotees, oh God, why have you forsaken me, kind of thing, you see. So that's a deep valley, right? And then you have this huge vision of God and you have this bliss. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about steady samadhi, sthiti samadhi, most natural, that in which all channels are open all the time, and so that you don't have anything to compare it to. See, if consciousness is fully with you all the time, and it never falls out, it never sleeps, it never degrades, then you don't have anything to compare it to. Somebody walks up to you and says, how are you today? How's your state of mind? Fine, always. See, I'm always fine. I don't have any deviations in my vibration. I don't go up and down. I just stay at one level, thank you, and I'm very happy there. And if, like in Sri Ramakrishna's case, the Divine Mother wants to come along and load me down with bliss, let's see what happens, you see. See if I can take it. But after that bliss is past, I want to return right here where I am right now. The least amount of effort, the least amount of wasted energy, the most amount of equilibrium, all the time. So it's like a default zone, you'll never come down. You a springboard, you see. Evenness of mind, sthiti samadhi, you'll never come down below that anymore ever again. And from there you can have any experience you want. In its own time, at the right and proper time. So this is again, one of my little preambles here before class about the connections that you make. It goes all the way back to food. Now we looked 2 weeks ago at the chart on prasadam. There were 4 kinds of prasad. Most people think prasad is food, right? Oh, I'm going to go to the temple, like in India. I'm going to get me some prasad, see, and I'm going to eat it. And that's going to make me sacred for the day. You see. It's going to be my hit of spirituality for the day. But there's 3 other kinds of prasad that you might not, that you also should be working to have, striving to attain. And one of them is of the mind and thoughts, and one of them is of the mood. Some prasad it's called, when you have a pure mood all the time, balanced mood that I was just talking about. And chitta prasad means food of the mind. You're just like you're making sure that you're eating good food, you're making sure that you're taking in good teachings from the Dharma, reading high spiritual books, reading books with lofty messages. Then you're supplying your mind with chitta prasad, food for the mind. And after a while you won't want to put any crap in there. See, no more junk food. See, actually, I've prepared myself, you see, my subtle body, so that it can live on pure food. Before, I couldn't live on the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras and the Gita. I could only take little doses of them, you see. And then I mixed it in with some other books, some junk food, see. Last of the Mohicans and a dime store mystery once in a while or something, you see. But now I've been able to graduate so that I live on the scriptures alone. It's like rarefied jet fuel, see. for this new vehicle I have. And I can course inward with inspiration given to me from the words of the seers and the saints and the sages. Those are the revealed scriptures, you see. That's all called Chitta Prasad. So, Anna Prasad, purity of food; Chitta Prasad, purity of food that you take into the mind; Sam Prasad, purity of mood; and finally you want purity of spirit. Adhyatma Prasad. You want your own Atman. You want to eat pure conscious awareness or ingest pure conscious awareness all the time. And also you want to condition yourself or prepare yourself for that higher elevation of pure consciousness. Again, very easy to slip back from that. Hard to hold the highest level of awareness. I'm looking out the window right now beyond the live streaming audience who's looking at me, and I'm seeing Mauna Kea right there outside the ashram window. The highest mountain in the world if you measure it from the ocean bottom. It's huge. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, if I hiked up there, then I'd reach 10,000 feet and I'd have to stop for a day. Hike another 1,000 feet the next day, I'd reach 11. I'd have to stop another day. Then even the mules would start to need to, acclimatize, you see. Pretty soon even the mule that's packing your stuff has to acclimatize at 12 and 13,000 feet. So acclimatization is what I'm talking about. It's the same in spiritual life, you see. You're going to have to prepare yourself gradually for these non-dual levels of awareness that come to you when form disappears. Now, nadis that go there, you see, this pretty much disappears, like channels rivers all disappearing into an ocean, isn't it? If you could see an ocean and you could see all the rivers flowing from a satellite picture from space, you'd see how the rivers just give themselves up, give up their waters into the ocean, don't they? Om yata nadyaha shandamanaha samudre ashtam gachanti namarupad vihaya tatha vidvan namarupad vimuktihi parit param purusham upuiti divyam. May we always and ever be like mighty rivers flowing into the sea, losing all sense of name, form, and identity into the ocean of absolute reality. So we want to become like those waters, giving ourselves up into the ocean. That is what it would be like to be a river that flowed by many beautiful scenes. That's called lower samadhi. See? Oh, look at that grove of trees. Oh, look at that hill. See? You're having little experiences along the way, but you know the ocean is waiting for you. And you can feel it because your waters are connected to the ocean's waters. That's the way water is, you see. There's no breaks in it, unless there's a dam. And that you don't want. That's called a grunti in Sanskrit. That's pragbara. You know what I mean by that word? Lord Kapila in the ancient days used that word pragbara to talk about a dam where souls couldn't pass. Koivalya pragbara and samsara pragbara. The ocean of samsara is rounds of birth and death and ignorance. That's how you would define that in English. And so your ancestors and their children, you see, and the animals and so forth are caught in this revolution, this cycle, which Buddha called the Kala Chakra. Chakra means a circle or a cycle. And they're not going anywhere. Like Krishna says in the Gita, those caught there revolve. They don't move on, they revolve all the time. And that's like the moonlit path. But the sunlit path takes you beyond that cycle, beyond your ancestors, and to deeper and deeper realms, you see. So that river that does not encounter a dam or finds its way around any obstacle then lends its waters to the ocean. See? And then water is water. See. water is water, whether in a container or whether in the lake. See, water is the same water. Yadakam shude shidama shiktam tadrageva bhavati evam muner vijanata atma bhavati gautama. That's what we say in the puja when we're purifying the water and pouring one water, Ganges water, into the kosha, or the container of water. See, yadakam shude shidama, the pure of the pure. Pure water poured into pure water becomes the same. So the same in the case of your consciousness. If you pour your consciousness into the consciousness of God, it becomes the same as God. There are no divisions. There are no separations. So this is what you rush to do in your puja, see, so that the water you're using is pure. It's the same thing that you should be rushing to do to use this prana. Because if you eat pure food, you get pure blood, and if you get pure blood, you get pure thoughts, and if you have pure thoughts, you have pure mind. And what did Sri Ramakrishna say about pure mind? Pure mind is God. Pure mind is Brahman. This is how mankind, as Vivekananda said, is just God walking around on two legs. He doesn't know it yet. But this is how you would make sense out of those very high non-dual statements. How you'd begin to acclimatize yourself to higher wisdom, just like hiking up Mauna Kea there. So again, some introduction here, and also a little bit of review that we have in today's fourth class on this subject: food, prana, and sadhana. Now this chart is called Mana Pranaha Sambandha, the connection between mind, prana, and you see there, the luminous mind. Connecting the living prana to the luminous mind is what this word means. And this is an ancient word. This isn't something I put together just to teach a new ideology or something. It's just been in Vedanta and in Tantra and in yoga for a long, long time, for many millennia. They have you look in the Sanskrit dictionaries, you'll see it there. Mana Pranaha Sambandha. And the definition, connecting prana to the mind. So they knew about this. Is your prana awake? If you go to a teacher who's teaching you the Kundalini system, he'll ask you, is your coil uncoiled yet? See, it's like asking a sailor, is your sail unfurled? See, can you move now with the wind of prana? Not if your sail isn't unfurled. So you cannot move inward if your coil is not uncoiled. That is, the Kundalini coil, the Kundalini snake, you see, is all crammed down into one center, called eating, drinking, and sex life. See? But there's a great power there, you see, and if you release it, it would rise like a coil that's been compacted for far too long. Now it just wants to be released, you see. Swami Vivekananda used to say about that, when you sit on your cushion, you should imagine that there are invisible lines coming out of the sky with hooks on them. They're fastening to your rib cage here, and they're attached to helium balloons. He got very, very graphic about his descriptions, you see. This is an envisionment, right, that you take on. So you say there's helium balloons up there with lines, with hooks, and this keeps your posture up, you see. You don't slump anymore. And when your posture's up, then you can breathe better. More oxygen in and out of the lungs, more oxygen to the brain, and more oxygen to the brain means more consciousness to the mind. And more psychic prana, you see. So that's rather where we stopped last week. For those of you who didn't pick up on this chart, then you can see where we started with food, there in this pillar, and the arrows point you along. We gained strength first through food. Then we increased our stamina. See? Gaining strength is good, but you could lose it. And you want to now gain it and hold it, see, so that you don't have feelings of weakness visit you. You want to have, it's the same way you want even mind, equal thought, the same way you want equal energy in your body, so that the yogis now don't even need to sleep, you see. They have yogic insomnia, you see. That's how our founder, Lex Sixon, put it. I've been endowed now with yogic insomnia. I'm ever awake, you see. The body may sleep a little, but mind's eye is always open, looking out, then looking in. The body will sleep and wake, but the eye of consciousness is ever open. See? 7 different religions talk about this third eye, not just India. So that kind of living state is based on gathering stamina from strength. Then we went on to master our posture, because once we have that abundance of strength and capacity under our control, we can sit for days. You know who I mean, who I'm referring to, sitting like this for days? Lord Buddha. Yeah, he said Vivekananda, which is true too. Sri Sharda said, Vivekananda is a soul who sits in meditation for 700 years at a time, like a wooden statue. He's talking about when he's out of the body. He's in a meditation asana. He's got a mental asana going on there. Whether he's in the body or not, he's in perfect meditation all the time. That's what she meant. He's a soul, Naren, they called him, Narendra. It's a soul that can sit in meditation for 700 years at a time, then he visits the body. And when he's in the body, you're still seeing him meditate most of the time. Oh, body? I guess it has to sit too. The mind's in meditation all the time, now the body has to follow. But I was thinking more particularly of the 49 or 50 days that Lord Buddha sat under the bo tree. You could see that he must have had his prana under control, he must have had his breathing under control, he must have had a lot of stamina and a lot of strength. And this is from a person who, prior to his nirvana, was not eating at all. Remember his story about Lord Buddha? He was an ascetic. He was in the woods, living on a few boiled leaves with a bunch of other ascetics. And he lived that way until he was almost emaciated. There are pictures of him, graphic illustrations of very skinny, very almost emaciated soul, see, body that is. Then he found out that that wasn't the way to do it. He wasn't getting the kind of strength that he needed to go inside. So he left the realm of ascetics and he went into the woods, began eating again, gathering strength, and then sat for some 49 days finally to work his way through the cloud of ignorance, the cloud of unknowing, or the curtain of nescience, and penetrate through the ancestor realm and through the problem of rebirth. He did this 2,500 years ago, 550 years before Christ came to earth, helped other souls to be able to penetrate this. Now, when I'm talking about this, it's not just a story, it's a nadi. It's a main avenue, you see, that was moving inside that had gotten clogged up. And only very few souls were penetrating it. Granthi, they call it Brahma Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, Rudra Granthi, at 3 different levels of your consciousness. Might as well have been at waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, that souls were not penetrating through this inner nadi. So he went in there and he ran psychic prana along it. He sat for 49 days in order to do that. It's like Lewis and Clark, you see, finding their way from the East Coast to the West Coast, right? With machetes and other things, you see. So he was, doing this with the inner terrain. So why? So that people could penetrate through the rebirth problem. They were being reborn again and again with their ancestors and suffering in ignorance. Kala Chakra again, he called it. So don't think I'm just telling a nice historical story of the Buddha who came and was a great light to all of us. He's making a connection. He's opening up a major artery inside of the collective human mind, so that more souls can pass. And some 2,000 or 3,000 years before him is when Lord Kapila called that samsara pragbara, this dam that had been formed, you see, and needed to be opened. Samsara pragbara needed to be opened, so then it became Kaivalya pragbara. Now this dam was opened and souls could rush along it to liberation, to mukti, to moksha. Kaivalya pragbara. Kaivalya was the word yoga, father of yoga used later for penultimate samadhi. Kaivalya meant giving up form, giving up nature, and realizing your true nature is formless. You don't need nature anymore. In fact, it's an imposition. Going formless with a capital F, you see. So these are great souls, past masters. We have in this day and age now, 1800s, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, doing the same thing, but he was doing it in plain sight of everyone. That is, basically, he did a 12-year sadhana, which opened up again, because these paths get closed down, right? 1,000, 2,000 years of poor thinking, bad philosophy, conventional religion, they just close, see. Souls aren't running along them anymore, just like we're not walking that path anymore, so the force took it over, you see. Can't even find it anymore. So they come and they open it up again. They see where it was, move through it, run the fire of yoga through it, and blaze a new trail. See? That's how Vivekananda put it. This is beautiful. This is exciting news. This is opening up inner dimensions for us, if we care to walk them again. See, it's now readily available for us to do this. And it's nothing unnatural or even sensational, really. It's just something, it's like Sahaja Samadhi again. It's like returning ourselves to the naturalness of our own consciousness, moving inwardly as well as outwardly. It's not giving up the outward in sake of the inward. It's becoming, it's having all levels of consciousness open and available to you because it is your consciousness. So why should anyone take it away from you or close it off, or take it down? It's not acceptable. See? It's untenable and it's unacceptable, as my teacher used to say. See? So this is something about mastering your posture, gaining strength, and increasing your stamina. You'll have to deal with your senses pretty soon. In yoga, that's called pratyahara. Thank you. The gentleman to my right. Thank you. Pratyahara is the fifth limb of yoga. It means to successfully take your mind, your senses off objects. And when I say mind too, it means you have to do it inwardly as well as outwardly. If something outside is causing you distraction or obsession, give it up. I can do without it. You gain strength back here so that you could do this later. You see. You gained success early on so that you wouldn't fail later. Because two of the greatest problems in yoga are backsliding and building a habit of failure. Those are spiritual problems. Sure, it happens in your job and in your world and in your vocation. Sometimes you backslide on that and you fail. A lot of people do. But we're talking about the same thing happening now when you try and move inward in the land of your own radiant consciousness. See, there are some robbers in the land of consciousness. And you have to keep sama and dhamma on hand, inner peace and self-control, to fight them, to keep them at bay. It's in a song, the first song that Swami Vivekananda ever sang to Sri Ramakrishna when they met in that lifetime they had in the 1800s together. Swamiji lived into the early 1900s. So you'll have to subject the senses to some purification. That's not like all right, matey, take my eye out and wash it. You see, put it back in. That's not what we mean, because most of us don't have glass eyes. Well, a lot of people have glassy eyes nowadays. They're not seeing even outwardly very well, you see. So you have this problem of outer senses and inner senses. Now, this is where the teacher will tell you about the dream state not being a figment of your imagination. It's a whole nother land, and you have 5 senses there. When you turn these off in sleep, people just usually go blank, right? Then a dream occurs to them. Good, bad, you see. Mixed. Then it goes away and you're in deep sleep for a while. It comes back to dream again. You don't really know what's happening as your consciousness shifts around inside of the land of awareness, inner awareness. So your teacher tells you, try and purify your inner senses. Quite often, purify them means become aware of them. Out here, you can purify something. You see, I say if your eyes are not working right, you can go get a cataract operation, you see. Or you can do some exercises to help more energy flow through. But we're talking about purification on the inner realm is all about awareness, right? So you have to bring psychic prana into it. That helps you become aware of any given element or aspect of your being. And if you do it enough, it'll begin to strengthen and give you capacity inside. You're just not doing it enough. Your teacher told you, why don't you do this experiment and practice a conscious dream tonight? You do it once, you fail, and give up. But you have to do it every night, just like you do the mantra every day, right? That meditation. You have to practice this. And then pretty soon as you do, you'll begin to notice that you're having inner facility. That the lands inwardly are actually opening up to you, and you can take your consciousness in and out at will along these pathways. I mean, you're going to have to follow the moonlit path or the sunlit path one of these days anyway. It's called birth and death or freedom. So why not do it early? Why not see what's in store for you, you see? It doesn't anything about sensationalism or occult again. That would be like, oh, let's see if I can find out the day I die, or let's see if I can get some information and make some money with it. It's not like that. It's just like becoming aware of awareness. You knew when you projected the body and when you got into the womb and what parents you chose. Now you have to also know when you're going to leave the body and how to do it consciously. And you practice this. Vivekananda came here and he said, you practice death in my country. You're all afraid of it. You're sweeping it under the carpet. Your parents are telling you the exact word he used was very apropos. It's anyway unhealthy to think about death. But he said that's not the way we think of it. We think of it as we sit in meditation and we give up our body as we sit. And then we give up our senses. And then we give up our mind. We give up our intelligence or give up our ego. Doesn't it sound like going to sleep? Because that's what happens to you when you go to sleep. But it's all done without any awareness on your part. You're not participating in it. Maya is doing it for you, you see. Going blank. So now you have to do it consciously, you see. And so when you come to the realm of your inner senses, then you begin to realize that you're dreaming, that you're shifting awareness, shifting levels of awareness, and your dream is lent more light now, you see. More of your awareness is brought to bear on the shifts you're making, see. This is all part of spiritual mastery. See. This is why we study the 24 cosmic principles. And people say, oh, do I have to do that, you see. But actually, the shifts you're making are through the 24 cosmic principles. if you don't know about them, then you don't know where you're going, where you've been. Sort of like going through a country without a map. See? What country was that I just passed through? See? I drove for miles. I didn't even know what country I was in. See? So you become aware of this through the 24 cosmic principles. What particular land or realm or state or principle your consciousness is inhabiting that moment. So something about the senses, and along with the senses, then you have this need, says the father of yoga, to equalize your breathing. Most people coming into yoga first time, you'll start them right there. This maybe hasn't been done yet. If they can just get them to breathe and even out their breathing, then that will cause them to think better. And when they think better, they think, oh, maybe I should give up that coffee and cigarettes and bad food and start eating right. You see, so it's quite often for people it happens in reverse fashion. They'll come here and then they'll purify this way, you see. A lot of people aren't taking this in order. It's rather random. And of course the seers come and they're starting down here, you see, already mastered in a previous lifetime, and all of this doesn't need to be done. They may run an energy outward for you so that you can see what to do. That's called being an example or an exemplar. But basically they're trying to say to you, hurry up and get to pure mind. This is where the thing really gets good. See? Swami Brahmananda, Sri Rakhal, in the Gospel of Ramakrishna, one of the great disciples, they asked him once about samadhi and nirvikalpa samadhi and how it's the ultimate thing, you see. And he told them, actually, nirvikalpa samadhi is just the beginning of spiritual life. Mm-hmm. So he's taken the highest level and calling it the beginning, you see. He said, so hurry up and rush, you see, rush towards this height. As you get a much better view up there, and things that you were unsure about get cleared up right away. There's no doubt about it anymore. If you're down in the valleys, like Buddha said, in the steamy valleys, you see, with the overgrowth all around you, you can't see anywhere. Can't see the forest through the trees. So you have doubts about what's there and what's coming. But if you get that higher view, you see, then everything clears up right away. That's prasad. That's prasad through food, prasad through mind, prasad through mood, clarity that is, and prasad through your own spirit, becoming aware of your own true self, and living in that higher consciousness all the time. You've blazed a path, and then, you see, it's like Ram Prasad's song, poet saint of Bengal. He says, my mind's a jungle, mother. I've now decided that I'm going to clear an acre of it. And then when I clear an acre of my mind's jungle, then I'm going to build a temple to you. See? And worship there. That's coming, right? Conduct worship. If you conducted worship back here, then what are you going to offer Mother? McDonald's? What are you going to offer Mother? Weakness? So you want to get all your little ducks in a row, you see. Build that capacity. So a lot of that has to do with purifying your senses and breathing right. See. Now this has been a review for about 20 minutes of what we have already sat through, maybe in a little different tone and from a different direction over the past 3 classes. But let's get into the prana here and finish off the prana, because we talked about how you can purify the prana, and quite often that has to do with breathing. And pure food to pure mind, and then pure mind you get pure energy. So you've satisfied the basics, and now you're arriving at a place where you want to purify the prana, control it so it's not erratic anymore, and then raise it. It's a very safe route. Step by step, stage by stage, you're following here. You're not raising your prana or your kundalini or any other thing without first purifying it. It's one of the downsides, and we've talked about it often at the Westerners. They like the quick fix. They want whatever they get. They're used to getting it quick. They think the same thing can apply to their spiritual life or to spiritual growth. And this is why they're making so many mistakes and having so many hard falls. So many kooky things happening. One person came to Holy Mother once and said, "Oh, I'm going to do breathing exercise." And she said, "Well, take it easy on that, just do a little bit." And the next day he came, he'd been doing like hours of breathing exercise and he was acting crazy. She said, "Just like that, it's screw loose." Screw loose in that mind, in that brain, because of overdoing it on the first day. It's like a person out on the beach in Hawaii from Ohio with white pasty skin. So they stay out in the sun too long. Overdid it on the first day. See? Didn't put Timothy Watt sun cream on. Even when they went out, you see, now they're like lobsters. For the rest of the night, can't even sleep. Pain every time they move. And that's sort of like premature spiritual awakening. So you want to make sure and purify by stages. It's called avastas. You see. Avastas is how Sri Ramakrishna taught, by stages. It's how Sri Ram taught in the Ramayana. You see. You raise your consciousness by stages. It says, the mind, enlightenment dawns in the mind in stages. This is the exact words he used. I've been quoting that quote for like 30 years. That's ever since I read the Ramayana and the Adhyatma Ramayana. The mind, enlightenment dawns in the mind by stages. And it should. I mean, there's no rush. It's not a quick fix, folks, again. Because then you'll fall into errors and you'll have all these premature difficulties, these poisons. You see, because in these centers that you're trying to purify, there are poisons. And there are also nectars. So if you go just for the nectar, the bliss bunny syndrome, you see, I'm going to go just for the nectar, I think I'll just sidestep the poison. See? It's like picking up a rattlesnake because you want to pet it, you see. It's got fangs and poison. And so you want to be very careful to neutralize poisons and everything, and then bring the power up the spine. Bring the power to your mind. So in that way, a little bit of another synopsis about those three. We can take them in one bite. Purify the prana, control the prana, and raise the prana. There we can look at this chart then, and this will put an end to our food, manaha prana part of this series of 5 classes. So here you see here, we've looked at it before, starts with food. And once we have that mastered, you see there, Lord Vajishta says, food taken with an ignorant or brooding mind turns to poison in the body. Food taken in clarity of mind conduces to perfect health. So you're going to want to have some basic ritual around taking your food so that your mind is pure when you take it. So it's not going to be like watching TV while you take your food, you see, or like reading a murder mystery or something when you take your food. In the early stages, that's not going to be good. You have to take your food only and be conscious of it. And breathe while you take your food and every other thing, so that you build up this strength and this capacity, because after you do, then nothing can get to you. Nothing can change your state of awareness. So you can keep it the same all the time. Sort of like an old war veteran that can go into any gruesome war and not be affected whatsoever by what he sees. See? He's already mastered that level. So in that way, you want to make sure that in the early stages you observe a ritual, a rite around food, and keep it very pure. And when you do, then the next thing to do here is subject it to a mantra. Now we're getting to that. Let's see. The very next thing rather is frequent holy company, right? Select a guru and then select a mantra. So we're segueing into that. This chart actually takes us into that. Usually when you start to have some higher consciousness around your food, your breathing, and your mind is when a guru will suggest himself to you. That is, all of a sudden you'll find a teacher. Just like that. When the student is ready, the teacher will come. See, the teacher may have been heading toward you many times, and because of your inability to get your act together on the level of food, and on the level of thinking, and on the level of prana, you put him off. See, so, or you took a substitute. See, second best, or an imitation. How many times has that happened to the Westerners? Choosing a spurious teacher, you see. So then they look back on it later and they say, oh, that's okay, it taught me something. But we're saying, purify by stages, do not risk these sidetracks, see, these detours anymore. Because next lifetime you'll want to be born with that great teacher you chose. This is what you see in the case of the 16 direct disciples of Ramakrishna, the 12 apostles of Christ, the Noble Eight of Buddha. These are souls who chose the Buddha before, chose Ramakrishna before, chose Jesus before, and they're following the Avatarvada. See, Avatarvada is a path in India. These souls want to know what the avatar is doing at any given age. They want to know when he's going to take a body and when he's going to give it up so that they can attend. What about those souls, you see? So you don't want to get caught going into the end of your life, an unconscious death, with a spurious teacher in tow. You want to have selected a teacher who is able to transmit to you the teachings, stotriya or shrotriya, and transmit it to you and get you free in that one lifetime. See, then you'll pick, if you have another lifetime, you'll pick that teacher again. You'll be with that teacher again, just like these great souls have been. Sri Ramakrishna looked at his 16 apostles at one time, and he made a comment to someone. He said, I see that some of my apostles were Christ's apostles before. He made that comment. And he named a couple of them. And he also said, those two over there were with Chaitanya in 1400. You see. So he could actually look at these souls and see that they were souls that had stayed their guns, you see. They'd chosen the right teacher, the highest possible teacher, and they'd stayed with him, and they'll always be with him. That's why we say Ramakrishna got the prana. Dasa, dasa. You see. I worship the servants and the servants of Sri Ramakrishna who have their life forces merged in him. See? And they've had their life forces merged in him back when he was Chaitanya, and back when he was Ram, and back when he was Krishna. Why do you think he's called Ramakrishna? So they're never going to deviate from the highest path. And when they come into the body, they're blissful. They're pure. They're full of wisdom. They know the mother. See? They know the mother of wisdom. So welcome to the ranks of the illumined, you see. Take your place. Take your place amongst the highest knowers of Brahman. Where is that stated? In the Upanishads. Come now and take your place among the highest knowers of Brahman. It's an engraved invitation, you see. What are you waiting for? You want to dally with wealth and relatives? The scriptures also say that's the path to darkness. No profound help can come from wealth, relatives, and ritual, they say. So, move along, say the spiritual police. Listen, don't loiter around those spurious teachers. Move along. Find yourself the highest possible expression of God in human form. Take the Dharma and be free. So that teacher will give you a mantra. That's what's here. See, frequent holy company, seek a guru, and secure a mantra. Those are mainstays in the path. That is, those are main courses in the spiritual diet. That prasadam, see, that you're trying to have for yourself. See. So, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, if a horse comes into a herd of cows, they drive it away. He's meaning, if a worldly person tries to come in to a bunch of devotees, they'll drive him away, see. And the same is also true. If a spiritual person tries to go with the Caesars, they'll kill him, you see. So each has their own land, you see, and each is happy in their own land. But the point I'm bringing up about this is that if your prana isn't pure, then holy company doesn't suggest itself to you. You can be looking all over the place, and people do, and choosing gurus by the dozens and taking mantras like merit badges, but it's not going to do you any good till you find that one teacher who can transmit the teachings to you and give you a mantra that was given by his guru, that was given by that guru. I'm Guru Bhyo Namaha, I'm Guru Parama Guru Bhyo Namaha, I'm Para Para Guru Bhyo Namaha, I'm Paramesti Guru Bhyo Namaha, right from the mother. See? Right on down through succession, so that that mantra is effective. It's been realized by hundreds and thousands of souls, and they're now passing it on to you for your own highest good. If you don't understand anything more about spiritual life, if you don't understand the scriptures, if you don't serve God as mankind, and if you can't meditate worth a whit, then the one thing that you'll have gleaned is the mantra, and that will save you. The mantra is it for people. In other words, there won't be a certain place that you can backslide past if you have the mantra. That's why you do it every day and repeat it every day. You take it into your dream sleep, you tape it into your deep sleep state. You remember at the time of death. See? And that mantra will save you and take you towards higher and higher life. So back here again, food with mantra is a winning combination. See? Here in this chart, you see, we don't get to it to down here, but it would have been nice if you had pure food with mantra right there. See? Usually not the way it happens. We've been eating for, I ate for 20 some years before I got a mantra, right? My parents ate their whole life without a mantra. Case in point, what did they feed me? Canned food, ground cows, see? Horrible food I got, you see. They never had a mantra, they never had a guru. Good people, as far as it goes. Fodder for the ancestors, if it goes any further, you see. You want off that wheel. You want to eat pure food, get pure blood, have pure thoughts, get pure mind, and be free. And never have to come into the body again, unless you do it by your own choice. That's called a conscious birth. Be a bodhisattva for 13 or 14 lifetimes, like Dalai Lama. Or be a soul that sits in samadhi for 700 years like a wooden statue, like Swami Vivekananda, and comes every once in a while and makes a huge impression on the earth. What guru did he choose? See what I mean? Oh, Sri Ramakrishna is taking a birth. I'm coming down with him. There are songs written about it. Stimita Chit Sindhu Bedi. From the highest awareness came a soul, shining soul. And who is that whom he enfolds in tender arms? Swami Vivekananda. He brought Swami Vivekananda with him. He talked Vivekananda into coming here. See, no soul in its right mind would come here. And that's why so many people are not in their right mind, because they're coming here again and again with their ancestors in ignorance of their true nature. Are you one of them? See? So, prana, a very important thing, and mantra with food. So if you do that, you'll get mukhya prana. You see there, mukhya prana supports organs, sharpens the senses, maintains life in the body, and must be invigorated by ingestion of pure food. And then out of mukhya prana, you'll come ojas. Ojas, spiritual orange juice, I call it. OJ. See, it's your inner spiritual orange juice that you take every morning. Every morning means the beginning of every birth, in this case, or the beginning of every breath, beginning of every day. Ojas is stored up power from pure food and sadhana, combined, which aids in the release of Kundalini Shakti into higher spiritual centers. So you can attract Divine Mother herself with this ojas once you have it. But you're not going to have it till your food is purified with mantra and you have this healthy spiritual energy, prana, that flows inward, not just outward. If it's flowing just outward, Mother's not out here. Well, Mother Nature is. What happens in Mother Nature? Birth, growth, disease, old age, decay, and death. That's what happens in Mother Nature. And some temporary joys and pleasures, and a few nice sceneries. If you want to get serious about spiritual life, about enlightenment, about attainment, then you'll have to meet the Mother inside. See, she exists within you. She's the wisdom Mother. She's the Vakdevi, the Mother of the Word. She's the primordial goddess. She's Kundalini Shakti, flowing through all the spiritual centers. She presides over the prana and the psychic prana that you're trying to purify and awaken. She's helping you raise it when you have it purified. There are certain requisites you'll have to do to satisfy her, and then she will aid you in this highest endeavor. So that's ojas. And if you're just going up this side of the chart alone, you get to tejas. There can't be anything higher. The emanation that exudes from pure yogic state is called tejas, a subtle light that transforms. By its presence, illumined beings inspire and uplift those who strive and suffer. So, with the power of tejas in you, remember it started way back there when you began to get stamina, the ability to staying power, at all those levels, then you can help not only those who are striving, but those who are suffering. It's very difficult to help those who are suffering, isn't it? Hard enough to help those who are striving, but at least they have a little forward momentum going, a little bit of willpower. But it's very difficult to help the suffering. And most of the time you see the blind leading the blind in that arena. They say in India, I don't have enough room in my bed, barely have enough room in my bed for myself, yet I'm asking someone else to sleep there with me. See? Move over. There's no room. So they mean basically the suffering, helping the suffering. Those who haven't transcended their suffering, purified themselves yet, trying to help others. And this is why the world goes on the way it does, without any profound solution attending upon people, without seeing many people get enlightenment. Do we? Are we even hearing about it? What are you hearing on the TVs and the news? Is it about enlightenment? Is there a headline? Somebody just got enlightened. Or Kundalini power just rose in that man. Never see it. The goal of life has been reached by that woman. You never see it or hear about it. Not only not there, they're not interested in it, or they've never even heard of it, or they don't even believe it exists. See? This is the only topic in discussion in spiritual circles, the only topic. Brahman, Brahman as pure consciousness. I can go through 10 or 11 major forms of focus in Advaita Vedanta. First is Brahman. Now the next is Brahman as Brahman. We're saying anything about Maya or the world yet? The next is Brahman as consciousness. Oh, we just stepped down a little bit, you see. We're talking about consciousness as if it's something separate from Brahman, or something separate from us, you see. So, very minute degrees of shift there in Advaita Vedanta, you see. If all of a sudden you interrupted the Rishi and said, what about Maya? See, Maya, I'll give you a concession and talk about that later. See, let's stick to the point. You're that. You're that Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. Means the true self is Brahman, or Jiva is Shiva. But you're going to have to go through some sadhana, you see, some refinement process, some purification of mind, and for that you're going to have to purify food and energy. See, so this is what happens in Tejas. They even use the word quite often. Remember, for instance, Tejas taram titarasa Tvaitripta Trishna Rage Krite Ritapate Tvairam Krishna Martyam Ritam Tavapadam Maranor Tasmat Tvameva Sharanam Ramadina Bandhu. The whole verse starts off with the word Tejas. So Ramakrishna was full of this Tejas, you see. He was full of this light, shining light of spirituality. Once a disciple of a direct disciple of Ramakrishna walked up to him and said, "You're so lucky you saw Sri Ramakrishna." And the direct disciple said to his disciple, "No, you're the fortunate one. We saw Sri Ramakrishna. We had to believe. You have never seen him and you believe." Isn't that beautiful? You have never seen him like we saw him in the body, and you still believe, you see. So that's a beautiful thing, but the secondary point there is that we saw Sri Ramakrishna, we had to believe. Mm-hmm. If you saw him shining with Tejas, and he transmitted that Tejas into you, and you got enlightened, would there be any such thing as belief or or disbelief? Mm-hmm. The whole thing, the whole matter would be solved. There would be no occasion for concessions. See? Beautiful Swamiji's hymn, Om Hring Rtam. Starts out with the word, Om. So, if we want to take up this side of the chart in the remaining time, you'd see that transmigration is going on in cycles anywhere below this line. That is anywhere below the heart chakra. If you want to refer to the 7 chakra diagram here in the middle of this chart, these 3 chakras at the gut, at the sexual organs, and at the root of the spine, that is physical representations, they're actually within these centers, but our spine is an external symbol for those inner realms. So anywhere below the heart is where transmigration is going on in cycles. Hundreds and thousands of souls going through the rebirth process all the time, forgetting it every time they're born again, what they experienced prior. Yet it's written all over their features, what they experienced before. They look like what they experienced before. They eat what they did before. They have the same ancestors they did before, same family, the same enemies, the same loves. See, everything is the same in Maya. See, in cycles. Like Sri Krishna says, They just revolve. They don't go up, nor do they go down. They just revolve on the wheel of birth and death. So that's all happening here. How does one climb out of it? Early spiritual awakening, observance of celibacy, moderation of sense life, inception of spiritual practice, refined prana, psychic prana develops, and the release of udgata, which is the precursor to kundalini. Many people are saying they're having kundalini experiences. They're probably really only having udgata, a precursor to kundalini. It's like if I took this mic, you see, and it was live, and I went test, test, see, and you see the needles and hear the speakers, right? That's udgata. See, it's mother taking up a microphone and testing to see if you're ready for her full force yet. See. So testing means some udgata comes up the spine, you have a profound experience, and you fall apart. See, because you haven't purified the nadis yet. You haven't followed this path that you've opened up nadis, and you can maintain some stamina at them, you see. You haven't done the mantra enough to maintain the mantra. All of a sudden you're in danger. What's that mantra again? See, sort of like the parrot, you see, again and again repeating the mantra all day, much more than the householders repeat it, who taught it to them, who taught it to him. Then the cat gets him. Does he say the mantra at the time of death? Or does he squawk?
Squawk.
So you have to, again, create some stamina and hold it. You see, holding power. Once I was in Bellarmont, a crowd of 1,000 of people or so. And I was there, you see, mostly Indians, so I was probably 2 heads taller than most of them. I saw this man coming at me through the crowd. He was a Swami. He came up to me and said, "Here's your power, Babaji." And he slipped it, you know, it's like, "Here's your power, Babaji." He slipped it. "Don't look at it now." Well, later it was a picture of Sri Ramakrishna in Samadhi. And I still have that picture on my desk. So, "Here's your power, Babaji." I didn't even know him. I didn't know his name, never seen him before. But he had known me, evidently. So that's your power, you see. This is your focus. This is your ishtam. This is your mantra. This is, your past series of lifetimes have culminated in this ideal. So he's now on your altar. He's now in your mind's eye. He's now in your heart. And he's the Lord of thousands and thousands of devotees. 5 million now on this planet alone, that is on this level of consciousness, some 5 million and growing. Gaining ground in a very short time, you see. But he's also worshipped by beings like Swami Vivekananda, taken as the husband and the master of Sri Sarada Devi, worshipped by the 15 direct disciples, Brahmananda, Turiyananda, so forth. Brahmanandam, Shivam, Shantam, Premarupam, Niranjanam, Yogisham, Adbhutam, Nityam, Akandadvaita, Lakshinam, Trigunam, Vijnanam, Trigunam, Triyatita, Samgitam, Subodham, Shardam, Chaiva, Vivekashashi, Bhusanam. 16 direct disciples worshipped him, you see. Now their names in a mantra. All their names are in a mantra, see. So there's your power. See? This is your power. Use it. See? And it comes in the form of prana, food, prana, psychic prana. Aren't you offering your food to Ramakrishna before you eat it? See? To the Lord and Mother of the Universe. So that's your power. It is now your power. It's going to give you pure blood. It's going to give you pure thoughts. That's going to give you pure mind. And then you'll realize, I and my Father are one. So all of this, right on up to the release of udgata. So you see here, refined prana floods the nadis and psychic prana develops. Aren't we there now on this chart? See, you are here. There's a star map. Right. Now, above that, in the remaining 5 or 6 minutes, we can just take them right away. As soon as worldly life, transmigration and cycles ends, then all of a sudden you're having a maturation of devotion. That is, your spiritual life is launched. You see. It's kicked off. It's inaugurated. See. Maturation of devotion is the first thing that happens. Then cessation of new karmas. You want to put those to rest right away. Interestingly enough, old karmas are still there. They get dealt with later. It's an interesting teaching that not a lot of people find out after the fact, but it is true. There are some old karmas from past lifetimes that are still lingering. And you're going to have to deal with those at a higher level. The ability to concentrate comes to you, and the ability to meditate. Those are, of course, limbs 6 and 7 in yoga, right? Dharana and Dhyan. 6 and 7. We showed the yoga chart 2 weeks ago, so you could see the 8 limbs. Now you get to the destruction of old karmas. So you see the interesting thing there is cessation of new karmas will happen when you get higher awareness, but it's only when you learn to meditate deeply that you can get rid of your old karmas. You'll see your past lifetimes, and you'll see how you created these old karmas, and you'll dispense with them, you see, with the mantra and with the ishtam. See, that's your power. See, it's going to become a new mantra here. So you're doing away with it with this internal power. Destruction of old karmas will happen then. Then ability to teach and transmit. That's why it's right across from the wisdom chakra and right across from Tejas. Didn't we just say illumined beings can inspire and uplift those who strive and suffer once they have Tejas? And finally, transcendent experiences will begin to come. This is where a non-duality gets realized. Before you heard about it, it was interesting to you. You made a rush at the citadel of non-duality and fell back a few times, you see. You tried to climb Mauna Kea and you had to come back. Only made it up to 10,000 feet, couldn't breathe. So you had to come back and do a triathlon, which they do right out here. See, to get enough stamina to go up higher, to go deeper. And then you'll make another attack, another onslaught, you see. Because when these old karmas are dead, there's nothing much keeping you in the body anymore, so you can transcend the body. So transcendent experiences of the body, of the senses, of the mind even, begin to happen. That's all been facilitated by sadhana, by strong spiritual practice. And Kundalini ascends toward the Sahasrara chakra, past the third eye to the Agya chakra. They call that Anandagana, a mass of bliss. Om Drishyam Pratitam Prapilapayan San Tan Matram Anandaganam Vibhavayam Samahita San Bahir Antaram Va Kalam Nayetaha Sati Karma Bande. Remember that chant? Beautiful chant from the Viveka Chudamani. See? So, consciousness is an indeterminable mass of pure conscious awareness. Anandaganam. Now, take what's outside and what's inside, render them into one state. Then meditate on that state. Pass your time contentedly and be free, says Shankara in the Viveka Chudamani. Om, peace, peace, peace. Here we will take our break and return in 10 or 15 minutes after we take some sacred food offered to Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother. Om Tat Snayo, Om Tat Snayo Ravrini Mahe, Gatong Yagyaya, Gatong Ye Nupataye, Daivi Swastarastu Naha, Swastir Manuse Byaha, Hurdvam Jigatu Besajam, Sang Navastu Dvipade Sang Chatushvate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we make a complete offering into the Great Self. May we always revere the Lord and Mother of all sacrifices. May divine blessings be upon us. May peace be unto the entire human race. May healing, well-being, and prosperity then also abide among us. Om peace, peace, peace. May peace be unto us, may peace be unto all. Om Hari Om.
Nama Om. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devi Mahadevi Paramam Shrimad Devi Bhagavatam Shivam Shantam Sundaram. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devi Mahadevi Namo. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Krim Devi Mahadevi Namo. Humbly offered with all excellent and heartfelt reverence to the Supreme Mother of the Universe, these 108 names of the Goddess listed in the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the quintessential scripture of the Wisdom Mother path, convey her blessings of abiding peace, awesome wonder, and everlasting auspiciousness upon whomever chants them with pure devotion. Nama Om.